Welcome, dear friend. Listen. Learn. And grow. Seedling. Before we begin today, I want to ask you something. How long would you keep trying? If nobody listened? 1 year? 5 years? 10 years? What if I told you? There was a man who kept trying. For 950 years. Almost 1,000 years. Of calling people to Allah. Almost 1,000 years. Of being laughed at. Mocked. Rejected. Ignored. Even by his own son. Even by his own wife. And then, after all of that, he built a boat. Not near any ocean. Not near any sea. In the middle of dry land. And people laughed even harder. Until the day the sky cracked open. And the water came. And it did not stop. His name is Hazrat Nooh, peace be upon him. The first messenger sent to all of humanity. And this is his extraordinary story. Part 1, 950 years. Let us put something into perspective first. The oldest person alive on earth today is around 120 years old. Hazrat Nooh lived for over 950 years. And for most of that life, he was calling people to Allah. He was sent to a people who had fallen deep into darkness. They worshipped idols, statues they had carved themselves and named after righteous people of the past. Over generations, the meaning had been lost. And what started as remembrance, had become worship. And Hazrat Nooh came to them, gently, patiently, with all the love a prophet carries in his heart. He called them in the daytime. He called them at night. He called them in public, standing in the markets and the open spaces. He called them in private, knocking on doors, sitting with families, speaking one by one. He used every approach he knew. He said, "Look at the sky above you. Look at the rain that falls and gives life to the earth. Look at the sun and the moon moving in perfect order. Do you really think all of this happened by itself? There is a creator. And he is calling you back to him." But the leaders of the people, the rich and the powerful, they blocked their ears. They said to their followers, "Do not listen to him. Cover your faces when he passes. He is nothing. He is a madman." And the people obeyed their leaders. Because that is what people do when they trust the wrong voices. They follow the loudest, instead of the most truthful. Nooh did not stop. He never stopped. 950 years. And only a handful of people believed. A small, small group. While the rest kept walking away. Part 2, the pain closest to home. But the hardest pain did not come from strangers. It never does. The deepest wounds always come from the people we love most. Hazrat Nooh had a son. A young man who had grown up watching his father, this patient, devoted, extraordinary man, give everything for the sake of Allah. And yet, he chose the other side. He sat with the mockers. He listened to the leaders who rejected the truth. And slowly, his heart moved further and further from his father's message. Nooh watched this happen. Can you imagine what that feels like? To be a prophet of Allah, calling an entire nation. And watching your own son walk in the opposite direction. And his wife, she too had turned away. She did not support him. She did not walk beside him. The man who carried the weight of an entire nation on his shoulders came home to a house divided. But Hazrat Nooh kept going. Because a person who truly belongs to Allah does not stop when it gets personal. He gets more patient. He gets more humble. He turns more toward Allah. Not away. And then one day, after centuries of patience, Allah spoke to him. He said, "Oh Nooh, no one from your people will believe anymore except those who have already believed. So do not grieve over what they do. And then Allah gave him his next instruction. Build a ship. Part 3, The Boat on Dry Land. Imagine this scene. An old man. In the middle of dry land. Far from any ocean. Far from any sea. Building a boat. A massive boat. And every time the leaders and their people walked past, they laughed. They pointed. They mocked. They called out to him. "Oh no, have you become a sailor now? Where is your ocean?" And Hazrat Nooh, without even looking up from his work, would say, "You will know soon enough. And when you do, you will wish you had listened." He kept building. Plank by plank. Day after day. Year after year. Under the burning sun. Through the cold nights. His hands rough. His back bent. His heart steady. Because when Allah gives you an instruction, you do not ask why. You trust. And you build. When the boat was finally complete, Allah gave Nooh his sign. He said, "When you see water flowing from the earth, from the oven in your home, that is the moment. Load the boat. Take a pair of every creature. Take your family, except those who have already turned away. And take the believers with you." And then, one morning, Nooh looked down. Water was rising from the ground. It was time. Part 4, The Flood. The water came from everywhere. From the sky, rain like the world had never seen. Not drops. Sheets. Walls of water falling from above. From the earth, water pouring up from the ground beneath their feet. The rivers overflowed. The valleys filled. The streets disappeared. And the people, the same people who had laughed, began to run. But there was nowhere to run. Hazrat Nooh stood at the boat and called out one last time. "Come. Board with us. In the name of Allah." But the hearts that had spent centuries turning away could not turn back in a moment. And then, through the rising water, Nooh saw his son, standing on a distant hill, refusing to come. His father called out to him, his voice breaking, "My son, come with us. Do not be with those who disbelieve." And his son, standing in the rising flood, called back, "I will climb a mountain. The water cannot reach me there." Nooh cried out, "Today nothing can protect from the command of Allah, except His mercy." And the wave came. And his son was gone. The boat moved on the surface of a world that had become an ocean. And Nooh, this man who had given everything, sat in that boat with a broken father's heart. And he called out to Allah, "My Lord, my son is from my family. And your promise is true." And Allah answered him, with words that carry one of the greatest lessons in all of the Quran. "O Nooh, he was not of your family. Indeed his conduct was not righteous. Blood does not define belonging. Faith does. A son who rejects truth is not saved by his father's righteousness. And a stranger who accepts truth is closer to a prophet than a son who turns away." Part 5, The water settles and the earth begins again. The rain stopped. The earth was commanded to swallow its water. And slowly, the flood began to recede. The boat came to rest on a mountain, known as Al-Judi. And when the waters were gone, Allah spoke to Nooh. He said, "Descend with peace. And with blessings upon you and the communities that will come from those with you." Nooh stepped off the boat. His feet touched the earth. And he looked around. A world washed clean. Every trace of the old corruption, gone. Every idol, gone. Every arrogant voice that had spent centuries mocking him, gone. And in their place, silence. Beautiful, clean, hopeful silence. and a small group of believers, standing beside him, ready to begin again. Hazrat Nooh raised his hands. And he thanked Allah. Not with a long speech. Not with complicated words. Just gratitude. Pure and complete. Because he understood something that most people never learn. Everything Allah does, even the things that break our hearts, has a reason. The flood was not cruelty. It was mercy. It was a reset. A new beginning. A clean earth for a new generation of people to walk upon in truth. And from that small group of believers who stepped off that boat, the entire human family that lives on earth today, began. Every single one of us traces back to that boat. To that moment. To that man. Dear friend. I have been sitting with this story for a long time. And the thing that stays with me most is not the flood. It is the 950 years before it. 950 years of rejection. 950 years of patience. 950 years of never giving up. How many of us give up after a few months? How many of us stop making dua after a few weeks of no answer? How many of us walk away from the truth because it gets too hard? Hazrat Nooh looked at a lifetime of rejection. And chose patience. He looked at a faithless son. And still made dua for him. He picked up tools and built a boat on dry land. While the whole world laughed. Because he trusted Allah completely. Not partially. Not when it was convenient. Completely. And when the flood came, he was ready. Dear friend, whatever you are building right now, whatever boat Allah has asked you to build in your own life, keep going. Even if people are laughing. Even if no one understands. Even if the ground beneath you looks too dry for any water to ever come. Trust Allah. Keep building. The rain always comes. For those who never stop. Thank you so much for being here today. If this story moved something in your heart, please share it with one person. And keep learning English with us, one beautiful story at a time. Listen. Learn. And grow. Until next time. Be patient. Be faithful. And never stop building.